Fernando Sor's composition, Opus 35, number 13, otherwise known as Sor Study number 2 from the Segovia edition of the Fernando Sor's 20 Studies, is an excellent piece for intermediate students. It really does offer us a great etude to work on balance and to work on right-hand technique. So let's just dive right into it. The piece is in 2/4 time, there are no sharps and flats, there are some accidentals throughout the piece, but just know that there's no sharps or flats in the key signature. And what we'll notice right away is a consistent arpeggio pattern. This arpeggio pattern is known as an Alberti bass. It's a compositional technique that was devised by a 18th century composer named Domenico Alberti. This compositional technique was used extensively through the 18th and 19th century as an accompaniment pattern. So, the way that it works is, if you just think of any chord, we're going to hear a low note, followed by a high note, followed by a middle note, followed by that same high note. And what we get is this Alberti bass. The first thing I would do is actually just practice the right hand pattern. So grab a C chord, and in the right hand we're going to go thumb on the 5th string, index on the 3rd string, thumb on the 4th string, index on the 3rd string, and then repeat PI, PI with thumb on 4 and index on the 3rd. So we have, if I just say strings, 5, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. Once you have the Alberti bass, now this becomes an issue of balance. Because while we're doing this accompaniment pattern, we have a melody. I'm going to start at the beginning of the piece. Our melody is in the top voice, the stems are going up. We have a very classical era sounding melody, which makes sense. Sor was a classical era composer. So the problem now becomes combining those two lines. I would set out to practice them in 2 sections. One, playing through the accompaniment, and then adding the melody. So if I play through the first phrase, the first 2 lines, I'm just going to play that bass line, the accompaniment. Now I'll add the melody slowly. How do we bring out the melody? Well, this goes back to our PIMA independence free stroke exercise. Whichever finger is going to play the melody in the right hand has to follow through further, and thus bringing out the melody. I'll demonstrate. As I add the melody, following through with my ring finger or my middle finger. The first 16 measures contain 2 8-measure phrases that are almost identical. So this helps us because we don't have a lot of variety in the first 16 measures. This will give us the opportunity to really focus on the follow-through and bringing out that melody. Our chord progression changes starting in measure 17. We immediately switch over to a G7 chord as we've had a key change. And now, while the Alberti bass stays consistent, our melody is going to be a little bit more active. I would take the exact same approach that you did with the first 16 measures, which is 1, play through your Alberti bass First, we start in measure 17, just the accompaniment. Now, the melody from measure 17. Putting them together. Measure 21 starts out as a repeat. So we don't have to practice 21 or 22. It does change in measure 23 and 24, but we actually get a little break from the Alberti in 24. In measure 25, we start again with a reprise from the beginning, so it's exactly the same. And in 27, we get a brand new chord, which really offers us some great tension and release. That same chord shape occurs in measure 29, again, back one fret in the second position. Here are the last two lines slowly. As you're practicing, remember, listen to your melody. Know where the melody is and follow through in the right hand in order to bring it out. An excellent piece, a great challenge for us.